uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
Are you an athlete or professional struggling with life or career transition? Life isn't always easy, but hope is always present. Best Hope Counseling will help you move forward. For nearly a decade, licensed marriage and family therapist Larry Baumgartner has helped clients empower change and discover solutions using a solution-focused therapy approach. Conversations will focus on what you desire to change, not just the problems that brought you into counseling. From anger to depression or other emotions, Best Hope Counseling is there for you. Contact Larry personally on his direct line at 727-946-1346. Again, 727-946-1346 for a telehealth appointment in Florida and Minnesota, or in person an appointment in Minnesota. Take time out and begin your game plan to reconnect, rebuild, and restore happiness in your life. BestHopeCounseling.com. going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web, in collaboration with the J.P. Peterson Show. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here live from Raymond James Stadium as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall to 2-1 as they lose to the Philadelphia Eagles 25-11. Open phone lines. I mean, what can you say? We talked about this all week on the JP Show, and of course, JP's not with me tonight, under the weather, so I'm going to captain this ship. I'm going to take your phone calls as much as I can. I'm going to try to read your comments. Bear with me because I'm only one man that's going to be able to lean down, so you're going to have to bear with me as I'm live from Raymond James Stadium. But what can you say? This is the top of the NFC class, and I don't think the Bucs are necessarily there yet, and it was an ugly first half. Anytime you have 87 yards of offense and Philadelphia is outgaining you 220 or 228, something along those lines, it's not going to necessarily be a good night. And honestly, this game could have been much worse. A big-time rushing game by DeAndre Swift. Jalen Hurts had over 200 yards. A.J. Brown had over 100 yards of receiving. And the Bucs lost tonight in somewhat rough fashion. An ugly night offensively, an ugly night defensively, and an ugly night with the weather. So we'll definitely read your comments and take your phone calls as they're about to turn out the lights. But I will stay here as long as I can here. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, that number, if you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we will definitely do that. Let me go out to KR. KR says first, KR, not a great performance overall tonight by the team. Can Mr. Light get some healthy cornerbacks because we signed these guys not to be injured a lot? Not a good recipe for a long season. Of course, big time question. Carlton Davis, a game time decision, didn't play in this game, so you're already down your top corner. And then Jamel Dean, who has been healthy and hasn't necessarily played his best, hurts his shoulder tonight. So basically you're down to D. Delaney and you're down to Zion McCollum. And to their credit, D. Delaney had an interception in this game, but of course it may necessarily just be a rough night. So hopefully the Bucs can get healthy. And that department, again, they struggled offensively. You look at some of the numbers overall. Jalen Hurts, 23 for 37, 277, one touchdown, two interceptions. The one interception, of course, we talked about D. Delaney. The other concerning one was Devin White, and it looked like he was going to take it to the house right before halftime. But, of course, he's dealing with an injury right now with his groin, so he ran out of bounds. And somebody told me, off air through a text, they need to get him out of there. And you look at it at the end of the day, he wasn't himself tonight. He was definitely banged up. He wasn't able to shed blocks, wasn't able to really be the Devin White that this defense needs, because you look at the numbers overall when it comes to rushing. Once again, DeAndre Swift, 16 for 130, and that's the reason why you acquire Swift in the offseason. And then again, A.J. Brown, 9 for 131. So big plays tonight all over the place, a banged-up defense, and an offensive line that was clearly overwhelmed, right? I mean, that was the big-time question coming in. And it's always the big-time question with teams. The interior line. And clearly, the Philadelphia Eagles and their defensive line won the battle tonight. So if you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, get on the phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Baker Mayfield. We'll go to those stats here. 15 for 25, 146, one touchdown, one interception. He threw his first interception tonight. Of course, the Bucs coming in didn't turn over the ball. They had 2 turnovers tonight. So, of course, that's going to hurt them.
Here comes the money.
And that's not the one right there. That's the one. That's the one right there. That is the one right there. And, of course, again, we talked about it. Devin White gets the interception. And then just a few plays later, Rashard White takes a pass, doesn't see Jalen Carter, who we talked about ad nauseum this week on the J.P. Peterson Show and, of course, on the Sports Web. There's never a question about this kid's ability on the field. It's always off the field. He made a play tonight, blindsided Rashard White, fumble. Eagles get back the ball, and they go up 13-3. And after that, it was all Eagles. Let's go out to the phone lines. Let's go out to Eric. Eric, welcome to the Sports Web in collaboration with the J.P. Peterson Show, live here from Raymond James Stadium. What do you have to say, my friend?
Man, bad coaching. Coaching sucks. Pathetic.
Well, look, I think it's a little bit. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I understand. Listen, Eric, I understand the passion here about the coaching, okay? But there's only so much you can do with the coaching. The talent on the field clearly favored the Philadelphia Eagles in this game.
If you started the game from start to finish, we had a chance to win this game.
You're not going to have a chance to win a game when you give up over 200 yards of rushing. I'm sorry, Eric. No matter if you have coaching or not. And you're not 100% on defense with Devin White, with Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis being out of this game.
We should have had a pick six. Devin White would have got that pick six. And Rashad White is not a number one running back. So to say it.
So after 3 games, you've already decided that Rashard White is not the number one running back, Eric.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. What else?
Man, do you know, and Jamal Dean should have dropped a couple picks today.
Who?
Jamal Dean.
I'm sorry. Who? Jamel Dean? Jamel Dean, yeah.
He dropped a couple picks.
They did. And Mike Evans had a couple of drop passes in this game. A lot of missed opportunities.
Godwin,
a lot.
Godwin,
yes.
And Thompson, too.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield was on point. They dropping passes. Baker was on point.
Baker Mayfield, the Bucs absolutely had some opportunities, some missed opportunities, especially in that first half with a touchdown there to Mike Evans. You drop it. Instead, you settle for a field goal. I mean, those are the type of plays through that 2-game winning streak that you made, you weren't able to make tonight. Give credit to where credit is due. Evans redeemed himself with a couple of tremendous catches, especially with the one there in the fourth quarter to get them going, get that offense going. But besides that, it was a rough night for Mike Evans. It's a rough night for everybody, but it's one loss. I mean, I can't believe you're ready just to jump off the ship here, my friend.
I'm not, bro. There's a lot of Bucs fans are upset right now.
I get it. But you got to keep it in perspective, my friend. I mean, again, the Philadelphia Eagles are one of the top teams in the NFC. This was a test tonight, and the Bucs have to go back to the drawing board, and they have to fix what they did offensively, and they, of course, have to get healthy defensively, and they also have to fix what they did defensively because they had a couple. All right, Eric, I appreciate the call. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Open phone lines. I'm not going to sit here all night long and go back and forth with you guys. If you guys want to call up, say your piece, and then get off the line, you can use that second call, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. In fact, somebody called in, so I want to go out to that call. Let's go out to this one here as we're live from Raymond James Stadium after Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall to the Philadelphia Eagles 25-11. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the Sports Web in collaboration with the J.P. Peterson Show. Go. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, welcome to the Sports Web. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, my name's David.
All right, what do you want to say about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight?
I mean, I expected a loss tonight.
Okay.
I mean, I thought the defense played pretty well for the most part.
Okay.
Outside of the touchdowns, outside of the fact they gave up a lot of rushing yards, but I mean, the Eagles are really just that good. I mean, they average about 145 rushing yards a game, and their O-line is the best in the league. They were expected. They're Super Bowl favorites for a reason. So, I mean,
that's it. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl last year. I mean, they get paid too, and you're exactly right. And again, that Bucs defense early stepped up with stopping them on 4th and 1. Besides that, though, I mean, they had opportunities tonight, not only offensively but defensively, to get that sack versus Jalen Hurts. And he shows you when you're not able to wrap him up, big play down there to Zacharias, and then another touchdown to Zacarias.
Jalen don't get me wrong, Jalen Hurts is really good, but I'm going to be honest with you. That team is really, really good overall. It's because of their offensive line. Like, he had 2 interceptions against Tampa tonight.
Right.
And honestly, if it wouldn't have been for that Mike Evans drop, that TD drop, that would have literally gave momentum to Tampa and changed the whole game around.
Agree. I mean, and you'll hear Mike Evans probably say in the press conference he didn't necessarily have his best night because he did drop a couple passes. And here's a player who definitely wants to earn a contract extension. Well, that didn't go well in the first half. In the second half, they made up for it, of course, in the fourth quarter, but too little, too late. And Mike will tell you that if he had those passes back to catch a touchdown, he's definitely making that play. And you got to make those plays. And on top of it, Baker was late on some of those throws tonight. I mean, let's face it, the interception to Godwin, he had him wide open. He hits him late. The safety reads it right across, comes by for the interception, and that gives the momentum back to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went wrong today, but
Yes.
I mean, I really blame the offensive line for why we lost tonight.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a tough matchup coming in, right, David? I mean, you talked about it. We talked about it. That would be the challenge. You got Jalen Carter, of course. You got Fletcher Cox. You got Jordan Davis. You got Hassan Reddick. And that offensive line didn't do a great job tonight. Baker was under pressure. You could see it. And then on top of it, the running game just went nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's to be expected. I mean, our running backs are not as bad as what they get, or that a lot of people try to say they are.
Right.
I mean, to be honest with you, like, if our run blocking was better, our running game would be better.
Right, exactly. And look, it's the offensive line's job to not only pass protect, but you got to open up those holes, and they didn't do enough of that tonight. Agree?
Yeah, I mean, they did a really bad job at that. I mean, they're going to have a problem next week against the Saints, but I really think that they could win that game, honestly.
Well, we'll see. They got to have a better effort, and on top of it, they got to get healthy. Devin White not necessarily healthy right now, because I think you would agree when you see that interception right before halftime, it looks like he's going to take it to the house. Unfortunately, it looked like he had a flat tire there. He's been dealing with the groin injury all week long, runs out of bounds. Not the Devin White you need on this defense. He's a defensive leader, and he was clearly banged up tonight, not 100%. Anything else, David?
No, I mean, that's pretty much all.
All right. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you, David. Use that second one. Let me go ahead and give you the Macho Man. Right there. We're live from Raymond James Stadium. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here on the Sports Web. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Jim. Damn it, Jim. Welcome to the Sports Web here live from Raymond James Stadium in collaboration with the J.P. Peterson Show. What do you got to say, my friend?
Yeah, man, that was going to be our one of our toughest best of the season so far, and they definitely got that Eagles team together. Man, I got a friend that's an Eagles fan, and he was a little worried when we started the game, but he reading stuff, and he was telling me that Vita Vea got a pec injury, and looked like a lot of defensive players had knick-knack injuries already. So
yeah, banged up crew tonight. I mean, not only Devin White, but also Vita Vea coming in here with the pec injury. You had Carlton Davis missing the game, and then also you have Jamel Dean who went out with the shoulder. So, I mean, it doesn't help your defense. Is it any excuse? I mean, come on, let's be realistic here, Jim. You lose those type of players on your defense, you're not necessarily going to put up the best effort. But even with that being said, just to be optimistic for a minute, because you know me, I put things in perspective, but I also try to be optimistic. It could have been a lot worse, and even saying that defense kept you into the game tonight, even though you lose 25-11. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, we got 2 interceptions on that juggernaut offense they got. I mean, good Lord, they get out and get going. So we did good for what we got, and we just need some fine tuning. And get these line, both of the line, defense and offense, especially offensive line, gelling, get more gel into the defensive and the offensive line, especially offense.
Yeah, and offensive line's got to improve, definitely.
I say here, I think we can still win our division.
Right.
If we keep working, we can win our division still. And that's all I got for you, man. You have a good show.
Hey, man, appreciate you, Jim. Thanks a lot for the call, as always. Oh, yeah. We'll give you the Rancho Man right there. Open phone lines if you want to get in and talk to me here live from Raymond James Stadium. I'm your host, Peter Blake, on the Sports Web in collaboration with the J.P. Peterson Show. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Should I get my host in here? I got to fix this camera shot really quick so we can make this happen because okay, well look at that. Look who's here, Mr. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network. Your thoughts on this game? I mean, 25-11 again. Not the best weather night, although it's cleared up so we could do a post show here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. But 87 yards of offense, really clearly the Philadelphia Eagles dominated this matchup, especially in the trenches.
Well, I wish it was a better circumstance to stand here with you. The Eagles were the better team tonight on both sides of the ball. The front seven for their defense manhandled the Bucs for a lot of this game, especially trying to run the football. And then what can you say about them just lining up and going right at the Buccaneers, who at times were playing 5 and 6 people on the defensive line, and they're still lining up and creating holes and running the football. They're going to probably do that to a lot of people this year. I know Buccaneer fans don't want to hear the aftermath of this game. It's a tough loss, but the Eagles have been doing this for the last year plus by grinding people, running right at them. And Jalen Hurts was not even 100% tonight. We learned as the game went on he'd been battling flu-like symptoms since last night or today. They kind of withheld that. He didn't run around very much. But, man, they ran it enough with Swift and Gainwell between the tackles. A.J. Brown looked like A.J. Brown. When you're without Carlton Davis going into the game, you lose Jamel Dean in the first half. He tried to come back and play for a couple of series, re-injured the shoulder. We don't know how serious. He then left the game for good like midway through the third quarter. When you're down those two guys and you're going against A.J. Brown and you're going against Devontae Smith and an Eagle physical offensive line, you had your work cut out for you. Credit them. I mean, that's the bigger story coming out of here is that Philadelphia looked like the defending NFC champs tonight. The Bucs didn't rise to the occasion.
They didn't rise to the occasion. And, of course, again, you go back to it, 87 yards of total offense at halftime. You're only down 13-3, so you kind of felt good. Not necessarily the best night for Mike Evans. He definitely missed some opportunities in that first half. But what an amazing catch in the fourth quarter there. I mean, you were there. Tell me what you saw.
So he leaps and grabs it with the one hand, and the fans have probably seen the replays. That's all over the internet, NFL Network, etc. You'll see that one over and over again, but it wasn't enough. At that moment, you got in the end zone, you got the 2. There's still like 8 minutes left, something like that. You've got all your timeouts. If you could have, if gotten the stop there and gotten off the field, okay, now you have life.
Right.
Philadelphia just was not going to let that happen. I mean, they ground the final 8+ minutes of the game out, going right at the Buccaneers with the ground game. I don't think it was everything. We were just talking about this on Buccaneers Radio on the postgame show, but this was big. When they got the Devin White interception, and obviously he's ailing, couldn't run, couldn't make the play, they couldn't do anything with that, and then they gave the ball right back, I believe, on the Rashad White fumble shortly thereafter.
Yes.
So that was a key sequence in the first half for momentum. Because let's be honest, they stopped them twice on red zone interceptions, and they also stopped them with 2 field goals, or this game is not even close in the fourth quarter. It's like 35-3 or 38-3. Instead, the defense kept you in for a little while. They just couldn't hang in ultimately when it mattered the most. In this one, and again, credit the Eagles. They have been really good last season and this season, and until somebody can line up and stop that ground game, whoever it is down the road, San Francisco or one of these AFC teams that can play some defense, they got to be considered right now the NFC favorite probably, and a Super Bowl favorite with the way they play, just because of how physical they are on both sides of the ball. Hurts is obviously matured. You saw that tonight. He made the right decision most of the time. It was a bad pass in the first half to White. They were taking a risk there on the long one at 20-3. He was throwing long, taking a risk, trying to make something happen on that. Ends up being an interception. They get the safety right after that, and then basically another field goal and put the game away for all intents and purposes. So, again, and this is the other theme that was coming out of that locker room just a little while ago. You got to put this behind you immediately. I mean, we're coming up on midnight, which means it's going to be Tuesday. And you got to get ready for the New Orleans Saints. It's a Players' Day off tomorrow, and you got a short week to get ready to go to New Orleans for what's going to be probably a knockdown, drag-out game in the Superdome.
Oh, absolutely, and they got their own injury troubles there with Derek Carr. We're on with the great TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here on the Sports Web live from Raymond James Stadium. We talked about it, Devin White with the interception. You would usually see Devin White run it back. He wasn't 100% tonight. and you could see it clearly on that interception because he was grabbing his groin, his hamstring. What's the latest on him?
Again, after the game, they said he's just going to be evaluated. He finished the game, and they're going to evaluate him with the groin problem that he had. They were also looking at his foot earlier in the game as well. He was clearly not himself. He was probably not 75% of the Devin White that we normally see, but he was a gamer trying to battle through. The only thing I was thinking of when he was on that side of the field, because, again, he was alone, and a lot of you have seen replays. I've only seen like one replay. Yeah. If there had been anybody in the neighborhood to pitch that ball to take off and run, there was a real opportunity to score on that play because White was the only guy on that side of the field, and he just didn't have any gas to go get down there. Again, that's not the whole game, but that was a key sequence where you didn't take advantage of that opportunity and get right back in the game at 10-3. And it was big out of the locker room that Philadelphia with them.
You definitely got to be impressed with them because, look, that's the reason why you get DeAndre Swift in the first place for these type of games. And the Bucs want to be this. They want to be that, point of attack, physicality with their offensive line. They weren't there tonight, but Philly was. Talk about DeAndre Swift in his game.
Yeah, and they did it between the tackles, not a lot of mystery. Again, they were getting offensive linemen to the second level on Devin White and on the safeties. Credit to Philadelphia. I know I keep saying that over and over again, but this Buccaneer team will look at this tape and just say Philadelphia over and over again lined up and did what they wanted with the run game. They needed 3 yards. They got 7 or 8. It's 1st and 10. They're getting 6, 7, 8 yards on 1st and 10 running the foot. I was surprised that it was only 200 yards rushing. I thought it was 250 or something more than that, right, especially with the final drive, but credit them. Yes.
Right, exactly. And again, the score could have been a lot worse. Some fans calling for Bowles' job. Some fans saying that Baker Mayfield. I mean, come on. It's the third game of the season. Everybody just relax here. The first 2 games, all the Baker haters out there, you guys were quiet. Keep the same energy as we're on here live with TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network.
I did not get a good look at a replay, but on the Evans play right behind us in that corner of the end zone, I know on the radio, Dave Moore was saying it looked like the Eagle DB got a hand in there to maybe disrupt him. Yeah. I don't know how catchable that ball was. Here again, you settle for a field goal when that could have been 7. It wouldn't have been everything, right, but that would have helped. He had a couple of other balls he'd like to have back. I'm not as critical of the one right here at midfield in the second half because that ball was a howitzer. I was right here at field level. That ball was 90 miles an hour up above his head. That's not an easy catch. Yes, you say NFL big-time receivers should make that play, but that's not a routine play, and it was thrown as a bullet, and then he makes up for it with a couple of catches later on. The problem is you just didn't sustain enough offense. You could not stop them out of the locker room to start the second half, and then you could not really do anything with the first possession or 2 of the fourth quarter, and they're just grinding on your defense. And again, Philadelphia will do this to numerous other teams as the year goes on. Watch.
Yeah, watch. And again, I told Harry the Greek, and Harry liked it. You like the Bucs on the money line. I was like, look, they're the class of the NFC. They're definitely improved. They got one of the best offensive lines last year, and I felt like they got younger on defense. So they're definitely going to be a team that you have to watch that may be in the NFC Championship game. And who knows, maybe in the Super Bowl, if not for San Francisco. Give me some final thoughts here, Mr. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
I think what you take away from tonight, this game will humble you from one week to the next. You look at the Dallas Cowboys going to Arizona, playing a bad Arizona team. And I know they had a serious injury to Trayvon Diggs for the season, losing him in a practice right before that game. But they played 4 quarters of uninspired football for the large part in that Arizona game. That's not good. You look at Jacksonville at home with Houston. Again, same thing. 4 quarters where you're just shaking your head on how do you let the Houston Texans come in and do that to you. Here tonight, again, Super Bowl contender. I'm not making excuses. This was not the Cardinals or the Texans doing this to the Buccaneers. Right. This is a Super Bowl contender. You regroup. It's one game, and you are now 6 days away from another chance to wipe this away, play good football, play clean, do not turn the ball over, don't make mistakes. It's going to be hostile in the Superdome for this matchup. But if you play hard, play well, and win that game, you're 3-1 going into the bye week. So
you would take that.
Yes, this silliness of let's get rid of everybody after one game early on in the year. Folks, we got to let some things play out here. We got to see what this looks like later in October. We got to see what it looks like early in November. that's when you're going to have a good barometer of what this team is. Still a lot of stars on both sides of the ball. You just need them to step up here, starting with the Saints and then after the bye week.
All right, TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network. Thanks a lot for your time, my friend, here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. I guess I should read some of these comments here. Yeah, I'll go to
your comments. I'll see you later.
All right, I'll see you later, buddy. There you go. I mean, that's the reason why you got to tune in here, guys. You never know who's going to be walking on the sideline, and then you got the media icon here in Tampa Bay, Mr. TJ Reeves, who I always call the human lottery ticket. Why? Because if you know my story, I won a game to an all-star game in 1995, 16 years old, off his radio show. And also, you see that right there? Yeah, Rolex reporter. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. I know we had some calls there. Let's go out to some of these comments. I'm not worried about the loss. Regular season losses are learning tools for coaches and players. NFC South is still better than most of the other divisions. Let me go out to Christopher Cole. Injuries and turnovers were the difference in the game. I mean, we kind of talked about it. You lose key players before the game. You lose key players during the game. That's not going to help you. You lose two of your top corners against a wide receiving core that has, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown? And it wasn't even the guy tonight. It was Almeida's Zacharias. Former, I hope I pronounced his name right, from the Atlanta Falcons. All right, let's go out to Donnie Pepin. Okay, I understand that. I'm still excited about this team. One loss isn't going to change my mind. Not happy with the defensive play calls or some of the offensive play calls, but I'm glad they didn't give up like they would have in the past. So even though we lost, fire those cannons as we shall. Let's go out to David here. Why did we consistently have our corners 10 yards off the ball? I was kind of asking the same thing. You saw Jamel Dean. He was kind of 10, 15 yards off the ball. That's a defensive call. I'm not about to sit here and say I know everything that Todd Bowles is putting out there. But, of course, if you're a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, you're going to read that. You know, that's a gimme. That's 8 yards. So I don't know why they did that. I don't know if Jamel Dean at that point was hurt. Of course, he went out with a shoulder injury, did not return. But I agree with you on that. Notice that also. If Devin White wasn't injured, he takes that pick to the house. Absolutely. Ben says Mike with some key drops. Bingo. Andrew Fulbert. Peter looks dope doing a show from Raymond James Stadium. Isn't that nice, guys? Isn't that nice? I mean, that's the reason why you follow the sports web. That's the reason why you tune in 5 days a week from 10 to noon for the JP Peterson Show. For this kind of stuff right here. Let's go out to James. Davis and Dean always hurt. Vita didn't play, and it shows. Depth pathetic. Logan Hall a non-factor. He will never be. It was a wasted pick. Offense only had the ball a few times. D was horrible. I tell you right now, it's one game. I get it. They didn't play well. I'm not ready to sit here and pass judgment on a team at that point off of one game. We've seen Logan Hall play this year. We've seen Vita Vea and how important he is. Of course, he's dealing with an injury, so you don't want to take any chances. You saw him a little bit, but again, you know, these guys are banged up. Of course, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to run all over you if you're injured at that point. So I'm not ready to pass judgment on one game. Did they perform well tonight? Not at all. But some of these guys were definitely banged up, and that could be the reason why. All right, let's go out to David here. I know our defense gave up a lot of yards, but they didn't give up a lot of points. You figure with the many yards, you would see 40 or something on the board, so it's somewhat positive. And again, excuse me, I'm just trying to lean down, so don't be alarmed or anything like that. I'm just trying to read these comments. 2 years ago, we beat them twice, and they're light years ahead of us. Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to. I get it. I definitely get it. Because they're a Super Bowl participant for last year. They're the top of the NFC. What did they do? Build their offensive line. That's not to say the Bucs can't get there with this offensive line. It's a young group. It needs to develop. Let's not, again, judge it off of one game. It's one loss. Did they play particularly well tonight? Not at all. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Vea was playing with a bad arm, too. Sandra Nagel, look at my son. One of the best shows, the Sports Web Show on the field at Raymond James Stadium with JP Peterson Show. Thank you. Doing a great job. That is exactly where you belong. One game. We will get there next time. Didn't like the ref call. There were some calls in this game that weren't particularly correct. Huh, Bucs fans? What in the world was I think it was Lane Johnson doing with the false start there? And the refs are not calling it anymore? The refs are not going to call that. Like, again, I'm not going to say that's a big part of the game, but you're in the red zone at that point. That could be, 5 yards back? We know how much a 5-yard penalty is to the momentum of an offense. And yet the refs, they need lens crafters because they missed that call. It was a Euro step, I was told, in the press box. I didn't know that. Tristan, corners play off the ball to not get beat deep without a pass rush. It's not much they can do. Yeah, not much of a pass rush. And you tip your hat to the Philadelphia Eagles, who, look, we talked to Ron Jaworski, Jaws, right, on the sports web, and he said that would be the matchup. That coming in, the Eagles had one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League. You see why. Landon Dickerson went out hurt in this game, but overall, that line is a beast. Evans went to the locker room before the game was over, not like him. In 2002, we lost 20-10 to the Eagles, then beat them in the NFC Championship game. I don't know if that's going to happen again, but you know what? I'm going to give you some of that. I'm going to definitely give you a Ric Flair because you're keeping positive. And, of course, it was Rondé Barber night as they saluted him. Who could forget that? I don't know if that team is there, but I tell you what, this defense has played better. The defense didn't play bad tonight, especially with all the injuries, but you can't give up over 200 yards. Even with all the injuries, you still can't do that. All right, let's go out there. You're right. Their guys are just much bigger and better than us. Rob says, bro, the rest were on their side. Rob, again, they were holding all game. Christopher Cole, Hansy got dominated, agreed. Reality check, but I'm still hopeful of this team potential as the season goes along. Good stuff, Tulio. Thanks a lot for the comment. Appreciate you. Yeah. We'll add that Hurts' team is a machine that could make Jameis Winston look good. I mean, again, if you have an offensive line and you have the rushing attack that the Eagles have, that takes the pressure off of your quarterback. Just asking TJ here, Hurts wasn't 100%. So the game plan was what? To take the pressure off of him. And even then, you saw him running. You saw him, not as accurate at the beginning of the game. But, of course, when the Bucs missed out on sacks, he was able to make them pay with some of the plays down the field. So those are the things that you have to work on. You have to finish the sack. You have to finish him because if you don't, he's going to go outside and he's going to make some plays to extend it. Let me go out to reading. Oh, there we go. Christopher Cole, the bye week can't get here soon enough. Adam says, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo. Woo! Yep, absolutely. Bears are trash. Okay, well, I will go ahead and acknowledge me. There we go. Let's go out to Bobby. This is Mike's last season in Tampa. He looks like he's dialed out. Again, I'm not ready to say that, but did he have some critical drops tonight in the first half? Absolutely. Is he dialed out? I'm not ready to say he's dialed out. I think the guy's always had drops throughout his career. And I think there's some fans out there and some pundits would say that's the reason why, he's on the, what's the word I'm looking for? He's not necessarily a Hall of Famer yet, right? I think he's a Hall of Famer. But there'll be pundits out there say he has these critical drops. But it's kind of unlike Mike. If it's a defender that makes that play, but you got to catch that ball for the touchdown. Because, again, it changes the momentum. Then you got a game at that point. Instead, you got to settle for a field goal. And we know that field goals aren't going to win games. All right, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. I'm your host, Peter Blake, on the Sports Web in collaboration with the J.P. Peterson Show. Open phone lines. Want to talk to you Bucs fans after the Bucs lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's go out to Facebook user. Bucs can run the ball. That's the issue. Got a good defense, but if you can't give the defense a rest, you're going to lose. Agree. The Bucs can't run the ball. Yes, the Bucs couldn't run the ball tonight because you look at the final numbers, kind of ugly. 14 for 38 for Rashard White. Baker Mayfield 1 for 2. So, what? And then Sean Tucker had 2 carries for 1. So how many times you run the ball tonight? 14-1, 16-17, and you pass the ball. I mean, it just overall was not a good night offensively for anybody on this unit. Can we just put that out there? It wasn't just Baker Mayfield. It wasn't just Rashard White. It wasn't just Mike Evans. It was also the offensive line. And they got clearly dominated by the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line. Let's go out to Bobby Raines. Evans looks like he's ready to get out of Tampa. Dwayne Beatty, good job, Peter Blake. I'm sorry about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing. Go Saints. For that, you get this.
This guy sucks.
Oh, by the way, Roger Shue, I just wanted to let you know the Chicago Bears are 0-3. Okay? There you go. They're still 0-3. See what a mess will be tonight. When you're a team with the front four and offensive line, they whip your ass. You have to regroup. Agree. They will beat the Saints next week. Shooter and Stas lost to the Super Bowl caliber team. It's not the end of the world. Let's go Bucs. The Sports Web at Ray J.
How about them Bucs, baby?
Yeah, baby. Thanks a lot for the comment. As always, appreciate you. Let me go out to Dave. We are in transition mode. First half, we had our chances. Second half, the D was tired. I think that's a fair assessment. I definitely think that's a fair assessment. I also think it's fair to say that your defensive leader for the night was not 100%. And you saw that on the interception. And he still stayed in the game. And if you're dealing with a groin injury, and I could just imagine how painful this is, it's gonna be able to curtail, if you will, Leo word, your lateral movement, right? You can't go side to side. You can't shed blocks. You can't necessarily miss tackles. This team missed a lot of tackles tonight. So they may have been tired. They definitely were banged up. So good stuff. How about the 3-down review? Should have turned first down. I got you, Eric. JTS needs to be a backup. Yaya or all day, more motor. Corey says, right, they can be in man coverage playing 7 yards off the ball to jump a hitch route. Let me go out to Roger Shue. Great show, Pete. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Saints are next. Let's put this behind us and take it to them. Jameis, 3 interceptions. Eric says, Bucs, burn this tape and move on. Learn from this tape. Not necessarily just burn this tape. Learn from this tape. Because, again, I'm going to put an optimistic spin on this. This could have been much worse. With all the injuries you had, with the domination of the Philadelphia Eagles, and yet the defense still kept them in this game. And that offense in the fourth quarter started to turn it around. Got to work on that running game. And, of course, you can't turn over the ball. You have a couple turnovers tonight at critical times that, once again, give the Philadelphia Eagles that momentum that you can't have. All right, let's go. They know where they stand with the good team. Let's see, Dave. Love seeing you doing the show from Ray J. Wish I could be there. Wish you could be there too, my friend. Man, I don't know about the running back room. I feel like White might not be an every down back. I mean, after 3 games, I think, there's got to be more evaluation. Let's see what the coach thinks. But I think this is not just on White. This is also on your offensive line, opening up those holes. Is he a little bit too patient sometimes? Does he not hit the hole as strong as he should? Maybe. But it's 3 games in. Let's see what happens. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you as always.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Ben. Great show, Peter Blake. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you. At least the Broncos didn't give up 70 points. Oh, my God.
This guy sucks.
I mean, what in the world was that? And how many Bronco fans, and probably not many Bronco fans right now watching the show, we're watching that contest on Sunday versus the Miami Dolphins. I mean, completely and totally embarrassing. With a new coach in Sean Payton, I actually thought this team was going to be good. Let's ride, Russell Wilson. Not so much. Let's trade for JT. I don't know who JT is. JT who? We're going to get some turnovers against the Saints. We should be able to win that game. Go Buccaneers. Go Buccaneers.
How about them Bucs, baby?
All right. Let's see here. Let me go out to Bobby Raines. Great show as always. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. So on that note, let's go ahead and wrap this puppy up. Here's we're live from Raymond James Stadium. Final score 25-11. Baker Mayfield 15 for 25, 146, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Of course, Rashard White. Not effective tonight. The running game was not effective tonight. 14 for 38. Mike Evans, 5 for 60, including a touchdown to get the Bucs back into the game. but it was neither here nor there. We will recap this tomorrow on the JP Peterson Show, 10 in the morning until 12 noon, 5 days a week. Watch for us on the post game here, live from Raymond James Stadium on the Sports Web. Again, like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Like I Love St. Pete, The Hub, Amped Up Sports, and of course Bucs Life. And do 3 things for me here from a disappointing Raymond James Stadium at the Bucs after the Bucs fall to the Philadelphia Eagles 25-11 to fall to 2-1. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay sports fan, it's your time. Have a great night. And of course, as always, go Bucs.